It was a poor decision on my part. In fact, the landlord is probably, I think I even know who the landlord is.
Dr. Jordan, next time you just get really quiet and then scream, "Is this because I have a vagina? Or is this because of my micro penis?" And you will have the biggest scene in the world, and they will be as uncomfortable as possible, and you won't be crying wolf.
Well, the thing that's kind of fascinating to me, and this kind of bleeds into our other conversation where people gave me reasonable pushback, right? It's because there are so many homeless people out and about, and to think this guy bothered to pick on me, who's dressed in gym clothes. I don't know. I mean, I have an Apple Watch, a cell phone, and an Apple computer. That's the only items that I had with me. Um, and my phone, yeah. I just thought it was just so weird that he was picking on me, which is what kind of pissed me off even more. So I wanted to react, but I absolutely agree that it's dangerous and not appropriate to weaponize something that isn't there when there is a serious issue. But that's part of the reason why I went and had the conversation, because I wanted to see what people would think.
How aggressive were they? How aggressive was the security guard when on sorry, the rest or the worker when they originally saw you?
You don't understand anything.
I mean, try to be objective.
Well, he was so he was callous about it, right? It was like dehumanizing, like I wasn't a person, like he was sweeping me under the into the dust or something. And I have an ego, if not a fragile one, and I'm the first thought in my mind instinctively for me would be, who the fuck do you think you are? And do you not know who I am? I'm kidding, but the point is that I was just so put off by the way he handled it. Considering there are so many, if anything, I looked like I was, a customer. Like they have no one there, which doesn't apparently matter to him. But other people came and sat down. So I don't know if it, and maybe it's my fault because I sat down and other people assumed it was okay to sit down. But I just think it's very common for people to see open seats in the shade in a shopping center that's not terribly busy. If it was in the corner or something, I could see being a little more territorial. But if it's a major walkway and there's tables, imagine you go to a shopping center and there's a table, you want to tie your shoe, you sit down at a table, whether it's a juice bar, uh, a bench, something that does belong to a proprietor. It just seems so unnecessary, and the way he handled it. So, anyways, to answer your question, the security guard I could have blown. I could have, you know, I could have poked with my finger and he would have fallen. I mean, he was not an intimidating character, nor did he,
as
nor did he know
most
what to
as
do.
most mall cops would
Yeah,
would be.
yeah. The guy who was the problem, the guy who I thought was unnecessary, he was very upset, and he couldn't. He was shocked that I was resistant. He was like expecting me to just listen to him, which made me even more furious because I'm like, no, I'm going to hold my ground here and make you as uncomfortable as possible for the next 10 minutes before I vacate. And that's what I did, basically.
Yeah. So my 2 cents on it. It's kind of cool. You're opening a room around it, but my 2 cents on it is aside from the anti-Semitism thing, it's really not a big deal. But it's like a classic case of two wrongs don't make it right. So, guy should have
Oh,
went out there and
100%. I mean, if
that's
I was a normal person, I would just be like, think to myself, that guy's a jerk. I'm just going to go somewhere else. But I'm not a normal person. That's part of the problem here. I'm not a normal person. So I don't wish me on anybody, because that's, if I'm minding my own business and not harming someone, that's when I particularly get upset, because I'm like, there's so many reasons that you could get mad at me for different things. This isn't one of them. And so that's what infuriated me. It was like so unnecessary.
Well, I mean, Dr. Jordan, the way that I've always dealt with these things, he's a worker at a fucking business. If you don't like how he interacted with you, Wait until the next business day, go in and ask for a manager.
Oh,
Period.
I did.
Or ask for the owner.
I asked what his name was. I took his picture. I took the security guard
Oh my
picture.
God.
I gave back. I wanted to make.
I would call the business or email the business, and every business in the world is transparent to get a hold of these days. And I would simply say, I'm not comfortable with how I was treated. This is what went on. This is clearly seems to be public seating or public access seating. Da 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 da. One, it'll curb the behavior because whether or not he's in the right, it will have a business go talk to his ass. Every business in the world doesn't like getting complaints. If it's in a promenade center, you can call the Promenade Association. If it's in the mall, you can call the Mall Association or the mall management. Bottom line, just because somebody rents space somewhere doesn't mean they're the emperor of the space. So if that is not blocked off by some sort of barrier, and it's simply seating in front of that venue inside of a shopping promenade, it's probably not their seating. And it's probably not even seating they're allowed to enforce that way. So, if I was pissed off about it, I would simply go looking for, whose seating is that? Who owns the business? Do they own the building? Do they rent the building? Do they lease? Is the promenade by an association? Does the promenade have an owner? Because at the end of the day, someone is going to be more irritated by the fact that you're calling them than it's worth for him to just get off, and they're going to shove their shoe up his ass. And it's not going to happen again. So if it really bothers you, that's a better move than yelling at somebody and refusing to move. I would have moved and immediately looked at who owns the fucking space and looked at what the regulations around it are, because a lot of businesses and their staff will think they get to regulate like joint promenade space. They don't. If they're leasing the inside of the building and they have access to the space out front, 9 out of 10 times in California that is joint use space that they're not even allowed to regulate.
Well, what I would say to that is, and I agree 100%. Following proper channels would be ideal. If I choose to want to go back there, and I may actually do that because I actually like the tables there. It was really quiet and calm. But I mean, I'll have my car back, and I probably won't be hanging around there very much. But following the proper channels. But the thing that makes me such a sick pathological person is that I was so pissed at this one guy. Like, I want to make sure that he is thinking, is this guy going to call the landlord? I wanted him to be, I'm so pathological, sadistically. A well-known physician once called me artfully sadistic, and I was so flattered by it. I was just so pissed because I normally follow the rules, and when I do something, I just can't believe that someone would be like that. Anyway, so yeah.
I'm gonna dare you to do something. You ready? You ready?
But see, Bren is so knowledgeable about Bren is slick because Bren will actually get the guy fired tomorrow.
Okay, I'm gonna dare you to do something.
Calls. Go ahead.
I'm gonna dare you to do something. All right. I'm gonna roll with your not a normal person vibe and embrace that. So normal people, quote unquote, would probably just not open a room about it and just kind of get over it. But if you really want to, again, do something that's not normal, you could go back the next day and be like, hey, look, man, you had a bad day. I had a bad day. I just want you to know I'm sorry. How about that? I dare you to do that.
Oh, no. I go back. If I really overreact, I apologize because I know I have that inclination, right? And I feel bad if I really go over the top. This was not one of those examples. I may go back, but I want to do my homework first.
Well, play it out. Humor me for a sec, right? Like, okay, let's go the artfully sadistic. So you go back, you say you're sorry. You're gonna get one of two reactions, right? The person's gonna piss you off even more because they're not really going to appreciate that. And then you got full mental grace to do whatever twisted game you want to do next. Or it actually turns into a good thing and you're happy and they're happy.
So this may entertain Abby, but my dad, I'm not faulting my dad. but I learned some of these behaviors from my dad. He can make a scene out of nothing, which is hilarious. Which growing up, I didn't know that that's not a normal way to respond to people. So he has a hard time correcting me. Well, actually, he will reprimand me if he sees me do something like that. But like he will go out of his way to keep someone on their toes, keep them running. It's just so it's kind of funny. So I'm not trying to exfault him, but I'm saying that's part of where I learned it. But I'm not. I don't think I'm done with this issue because I also said to the guy 3 times, I said, I'm calling I'm going to call the police. I don't know what my rights are here, but I'm sure I can come up with something. And so the security guard comes up, and I'm like, okay. I was thinking 2 things. I said, if I say I call the police, I said, I thought of actually saying, give them about 40 minutes because that's about as long as they're going to take if they even show up for this kind of thing. You can't get a cop to come out for that kind of thing, right? So I thought, I really have my pick of the tables here. Anyways, Fadi, for you, because you want me to be the better person, choose the higher ground. Maybe I'll go back and apologize if I even remember. I have his photo, but he looks like it's hard to. I couldn't pick him out of a crowd, even though I have his photo. So I don't know what to make of
Well,
that.
Dr. Jordan, you've heard me talk about the fucking issue I have with the 2 tenants at my promenade in fucking Long, and they're seating in front of them. That are not their seating. The owner of the promenade provides. It's not theirs, right? They rent from the front door and the window. They don't rent in front. They don't have sidewalk space. They don't have clearance space. They have their doorway, their entrance, and it's pivoted entrance, so you can walk in about 3 steps before you hit a door. So they have the front window and that pivoted entrance space. Everything in front of them is not theirs. They're not renting that. They are a single-use tenant that rents the one little indoor shop, right? The tables out front and the chairs out front are for all of the stores, all of the clients inside of this promenade in the strip mall. And so I've had an incident over and over and over and over where the boba shop owner and the nail shop owner both want to pretend that the tables are theirs and both want to run off the fucking clients of the other people. And at the end of the day, it's not theirs, which is why what I'm saying is depending on where you are, you may have been in the wrong if it's truly their space. Like, if that is their space inside of that mall or that promenade, now it's weird they wouldn't have a fence. It's weird they wouldn't have a gate. It's weird it wouldn't be separated to be a clear, denoted part of that building space, because that's usually what happens, right? If the patio is a part of the coffee shop, it will be a fenced-in patio. If there's simply chairs in front of the coffee shop, it's usually not their rented space or leased space, and it's usually not their chairs. It's usually either promenade use or public use, depending on how the owner of the actual property or the property management has everything set up. Because people don't lease everything, and depending on the layout, most of the time, people are leasing the indoor space. They're not leasing the space in front. And so unless it's branded furniture and it's fenced, I don't assume in Southern California that it's the shop or the restaurant or the boba store's furniture. It's probably the promenade furniture. At which point, you can sit there unless the owner of the promenade tells you to leave.
Okay. So,
unless the security on behalf of the promenade tells you to leave.
Right.
Which is why I was saying in this instance, depending on where you were, I don't know what shop you're at, I don't know what the layout is, but if I felt like somebody was bothering me about being somewhere I'm able to be, and it bothered me enough to open a room on Clubhouse, I would 100% either be calling the owner of the restaurant to find out if it's their space, or the owner of the promenade or the mall you were at, or the management company to figure out, were you in the wrong, or is this person out of step and being a fucking peasant with a pitchfork thinking they're going to tell you what to do? Because you know me, I don't have peasants tell me what to do in my life. That's not what happens. And Sherry, please let us know what promenades and malls you own, since you're speaking as if you are actually in a situation like this. So if we can bring Cherry up, I would love to hear her experience as a commercial property owner of a promenade or a mall, since she's speaking from that expertise.
Yeah, so I provided a picture above. It is proprietary because there are gates. The corridor goes through two gates that are open, and they're perpetually open. As you know, I'm sure they probably close them at night, but I've never been there at night. So actually, I have, but I've never seen them closed. Right, so I'm pretty sure it's their furniture, and it's a gated corridor through the upper level of the two-deck shopping center. But so I'm in the wrong. But even so, being in the wrong, it seemed like it doesn't happen very often. Like I can understand if you're taking a table that and they're busy, blah blah blah, but they didn't even know. Like there's nothing going on there, and they're entitled to say, hey, get off our table. But it just seemed like such a jerk move, right? So that's what I would say. Do you see that? If you see the gate behind, there's the guy, there's the culprit right there. That's him kind of popping out, like right out of a tunnel in Gaza. Bad joke. So there's a gate beyond him, and then there's a gate kind of right in front of me that's also open. That whole area, that whole part of strip in front of his restaurant, um, is presumably belongs to them. So I think I was actually in the wrong. But again, for me, it wasn't whether I was right or wrong. It was more the way he handled it, which is not illegal.
Damn, Cherry left. I wanted to hear all about her experience as someone who owns commercial property, since she was speaking from such a place of expertise. Darn, she left.
And you're so politely trying to act on stage just so you can devour it, bro. That would be the chat. Just come on in,
No, not at all.
Cherry.
Here's the thing. I love when people present themselves as if they have expertise. And then I just simply want them to explain to the room what that is so that we can all benefit from it. I would love to hear about the experiences Cherry has as somebody who owns shopping centers and promenades. I would love to hear it, right? That's wonderful. I know Cherry, and I know she doesn't even own the fucking condo she lives in, so she doesn't, which was the point. But when people want to be experts on subjects, I am more than happy to bring them on stage and give them the opportunity. Be an expert. Tell us all about everything you know about this thing that you do. Oh, wait, you don't know anything because you don't do this? Ah, awesome. So shut the fuck up and stop trolling.
So the other thing is that I wouldn't have come in this. I came in this Chinese room. Hold on one second. The food was great, sir. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased because I had a run in with your competitor at the other side. What's it called? The Post something. I'll talk to you later. I have a live audience here, but thank you. Yeah, I will go out. The Kung Pao chicken here was so great, but I would never have discovered it had I not had the run in with this restaurateur over on the other side. So this is how a sadistic mind works. I fixate on this until I feel I'm like the serial killer, right? I fixate on it. I shouldn't have said it that way. I fixate on it until I'm absolutely satiated. Um, and part of me is a performer too, I suppose. So when I was shaking my arms, ranting like kind of a half Woody Allen, half Woody Harrelson kind of thing. I'm sure that made such a scene in front of this brand new gym that I just joined. I really. The other thing, and I'll land here, is that the people who saw me yelling at this guy, they probably saw me walk back into the gym, and I wonder if they think that I was just, a like just a nomad, just looking for Wi-Fi or something like that. I actually belonged to the gym, but it was just so funny. And, anyways, that's my story. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gotten mad about things where I was totally in the wrong, and I admit finally when
I
it
mean,
hits
you do it
me.
once a week, Dr. Jordan. It gives us room because you do it once a week. In this regard, you could have been halfway in the right. You weren't when we got to the end of the story, but you could have been. Like, you could have been halfway in the right.
But here,
You take shit personal all the time.
I know.
It makes room, content.
I know. And the thing is, like when I go to this coffee shop regularly, I tip even when they're just I tip not only like if I get a coffee, I don't drink coffee, but if I get a drink, I tip. If I get a pastry or something, I tip. They know me for really just tipping regularly, more so than I ever should or have to, because I'm so appreciative for these people, right? They're kind. They always want to strike up conversation, but I don't really have time. I'm actually listening on Clubhouse and doing my work. They see me come up to the register with headphones on. I'm usually in Clubhouse and then go back to my computer. And so I'm really kind of gracious about tipping. And so that's why I'm so put off by this whole thing and centering myself. God, I have so many of these examples. You're right, Brent. I do this probably weekly. Now, the real incident that we should draw attention to is what you mentioned last night. I was in the room with you when that woman made that anti Semitic remark. That slur was like the second time I've heard it on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, she's very much a Hamas supporter, so I didn't expect it. I wasn't shocked by it. We give her grace. She's on her like 700th account, so every account gets its own strikes. And she was interrupting, and then I clocked her on interrupting, and she responded by calling me a fucking kike. And then everybody jumped her shit, and she got tossed, and that was that. Like, it's some people show their true colors. It was comical because she was sitting in the room for 15 minutes talking about how black women are mobilizing for Kamala, and it's a moral cause to vote for Kamala, and all of these people who just want good communal everybody working together are going to vote for Kamala. And then when she was asked to stop interrupting people, she immediately called me a fucking kike. And it just pulled the mask off of, no, you're a far lefty, crazy communist bitch, and you can wrap the feel good in Kamala's going to be great for everyone, and black and brown and this. But the minute you don't like something, people are faggots and kikes.
Well, she was actually responding to me when I said that I'm probably voting for Kamala, but I thought she's terrible, and I thought I said she's so fake. And then I said she's just so fake, and Norm said yes, she's so fake. And then that America woman, who is actually uh, trying to impersonate the other America, that's why she's using that name pseudonym, as I understand, or at least the America we know was concerned about that. This is That's how it happened. I do think, by the way, Obama's speech was amazing, and Kamala is on the opposite end of poise, charisma, inspiration. It's just she comes across so fake. But this may be the choice I go with, or I may not go with anybody. That's where I think I sit.
You guys see that Shanahan said RFK is going to endorse Trump this Friday. That's pretty sad. It feel like a funeral to me. I was on that wagon. I'm glad I jumped off.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask my dad too because he owns shopping centers, and I'll see. I'm gonna send him pictures. He probably knows the landlord. The landlord's probably Jewish, which kind of makes it all the more funny that I accuse the Latino tenant of being anti-Semitic, but or the Latino employee. But
Well, it's
yeah,
one thing if it's their property. Like I was saying, I was asking because in Southern California, the vast majority of promenades, malls, shopping centers don't actually lease the front public space or the patio space to a particular singular use client, right? Most of those things are public use and mass use. And most of the tables are provided by the actual owner or management company, which was my point. But it sounds like you've acknowledged that this really is their patio and there is a separation, and you probably shouldn't have been sitting at it even if it was available. So, slightly different situation by the time we got to the end of the conversation.
well, yeah,
But overall, if it's public use or it's shared use where tenants rent a singular space and there's other businesses along the way in a strip mall or a promenade or an indoor shopping center, generally the common use space out in front of those is not rented to them and it's not theirs to decide what to do with. It has to do with, whoever owns and manages the overall shopping center.
well, what the problem seems to be is that the gate is open to allow traffic to foot traffic flow through. They really shouldn't be open. That's the problem. I would have ordered something. I wasn't opposed to. I would have ordered something to be polite because I was sitting at that table, but they weren't open. So it makes it hard. Most other tenants either move tables inside or they do something so that they don't give people an opportunity that they don't want there. But they make it virtually inviting. It's their own problem. I mean, they make it virtually inviting. They're not. They're that particular restaurant doesn't do very much business. It's turned over a couple times. I was in there, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I was like the only person. I met some of the wait staff, and they actually had told me that they weren't sure they were going to be open very long. So I'm quite frankly surprised that they're open at all. But it's just in poor taste. If someone's sitting at a table minding their own business, I wouldn't scare them away, particularly if you're not doing great business. But I don't think the guy cares, and I don't think they're that worried about the tenant not. I don't know how. I don't know who. I don't know where the restaurant even came from. Um, but they still have a grand opening banner on it, and it's been open for over a year now. So whatever. Their loss. I have a big, big mouth. I will definitely hand out promotional information to all the homeless people, telling them that there's a nice shady spot upstairs over in this shopping center area. Feel free to hang out. And then I'm going to also hand out information about this restaurant that I'm, a patron of next door, and make sure they get all the traffic. So I'll do my due diligence. I remember when Monroe Milstein used to, when my dad used to work with Monroe Milstein, who was the founder of Burlington Coat Factory, and they would be fighting over square footage. Monroe maybe I learned some of my pettiness from my pettiness. Well, I don't know if I'm being petty, but my fixation from Milstein. He would not fucking. He wouldn't put up with shit. This is the kind of thing that would, drive him insane. In fact, he was so cheap, he didn't want to pay for this billionaire of Burlington Coat Factory, founder of Burlington Coat Factory, did not want to pay for, he had his own, the company had its own plane. He did not want to pay to fly first class. As an older gentleman, he would pay coach. He would wear a mustard colored, uh, sport jacket that looks like a Hertz jacket on purpose, so that when he gets to the destination, he would go to the rental car agency and actually somehow convince people that he worked for Hertz to get a rental car. At least that's a story that used to be said. Kind of an amazing. It's such a funny character.
I got messages from Kathy. How you doing, Kathy? You gonna speak? She's in my back channel offering services to make money. You should explain to the room, Kathy, how you're gonna help me make some money.
So, what is the deal with Sherry? Does she not actually work in commercial real estate, or what
That
is your
bitch
take?
doesn't own her own condo. So, if you can't purchase your own home, please don't explain to people how business owners and people who own commercial property operate. Right? There's nothing wrong with being a renter. Awesome. A lot of society are. Come into a room and act like you know what an owner of a strip mall or a promenade association or what the management structure looks like. We don't even own the building.
But she claims to be this University of Chicago law grad who works as a real estate attorney. How can she not make enough money to have her own place?
She's a hack who follows Abby around on, like, when Abby comes into room, follow that she does or doesn't have. I'm gonna just let that be what it is, but she has zero expertise in what she was talking about.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know who she is. I've heard her talk before. Uh, how do you know that she doesn't own her own condo? Did she say that?
Because I know who she rents from.
Oh,
Who also
okay.
on this app.
Oh, okay. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, which is why
That's
the minute I said that she left. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with renting. I rented before I owned. That's a part of life. But she wants to come in these rooms and act like she has expertise on things she doesn't. And tell you how you should or shouldn't communicate with somebody who owns a commercial shopping center when she doesn't own a commercial shopping center. She doesn't manage a commercial shopping center and she has no understanding of how those things work. The fact that she didn't understand that the space in front of a unit is not inherently the unit, that it's often common use space, just shows she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. But she never does. She doesn't stay long. She's one of those people who likes to use when she went to school to try to pretend that she's knowledgeable about things that have nothing to do with her degree. And then when you ask her, hey, what do you do for a living? What's your expertise? Do you want to come on and tell us? She'll leave the stage. Like, we've had this multiple times because she's supposedly an expert in the COVID vaccine. She's supposedly an expert in commercial real estate. She's supposedly an expert in constitutional protections. She's supposedly an expert in immigration law. She's supposedly an expert in car dealerships. But, I don't know how you do that from your rental condo with your half-assed career.
So how is it that vagina is in the title of this room, but nobody's talking? Or maybe that's why nobody's talking. Also, free Kelly. Like now when they're like 33, 34 and they're both successful, like, but like even when you're like, I just can't even believe that like it took them that long to figure out that they were each other's ones. And they did that while they were in the relationship. Like they were figuring out if they were meant to be together for 14 years. And to me, it's like, that's pretty fucked up. I mean, to me, you would know, you know, and if it's like 14 years for someone to figure out will they, won't they, then both people deserve to be around the person that doesn't have a question mark next to their heart about you. That's what every human should have. So anyway, that's why I'm upset about it.
Okay, well,
And when I say upset, I mean I'm just nosy. I don't really give a shit.
Our parents' generation, they got together at like 18, right? And stayed together for 70 years or something.
but I think Roya's point is they got married quick. Like Roy is saying, like why?
No, they didn't get married quick. These guys didn't get married.
No,
friend
MG
did,
means
but-
the parents did.
Yeah.
But they didn't have intimate relations without marriage. That's one of the reasons why I think they got married. And they started having kids.
Well, two of my best friends, Mark and Crystal, have been together since they were 12 years old. We were still in grade school before we went into middle school. And they eventually got married. They're 42 now. We're all we're all the same age. We've been friends since the second grade. So that means that they've been together for 29 years. And they're still together. They have children. They're going strong. And they're fucking happy. As happy as can be. And they made it work. So there's that.
One of my best friends.
That's beautiful, but that wasn't the point. Sorry. That wasn't the point that I was upset about. The point that's upsetting is even like, you know, as a person who has been in not that long term of a relationship, but realistically, you really know before year 14, right? That whether you love this person in a way that you want to build a life with them. I mean, is that, Angie, am I crazy?
No,
I think you would know by year 14.
So true. Oh my God. 14 years, Jesus.
That's because now we're always looking for alternative options. Everybody's looking to see if they could do better.
And also, no one is willing, and also no one is willing to put in the work because relationships Ooh, the Thin Man.
That's some
Relationships require work.
and from the room. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. I'll do it.
You're gonna kick me.
Left monkey sub.
I scared.
Okay.
What was you saying? I'm scared.
Left monkey sub.
About the
Hold on,
Saturday,
hold on,
bro.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. This is my room, first of all. Thank you. I was talking to Cray before you rudely interrupted him. So, with that being said, Cray, if you can come off your mic and finish what you were saying to me, thank you.
Oh,
Left monkey.
I don't really remember what I was saying, but
Exactly.
It's okay.
I was
If
listening to
it,
music
but
when I
it's
came in
okay.
here.
No,
but
it's
I hope
understandable.
that you do have a great, amazing night.
You
That's
too.
all.
I'm
That's
sorry
all I
about
can.
this inconvenience. No, you're
Craig,
It's
good.
Craig,
okay.
fuck her night,
It's
Craig.
okay.
It's
Fuck
all
her
good.
night.
It's all good.
It's alright. Alright, Cray. Well, I hope I talk to you on the flip side again, if you do
Yeah,
leave the room.
most
I hope you
definitely.
have a good night and I hope you have a good sleep for tomorrow.
Shut your left monkey ass up, bitch.
Alright.
Nah, but Skip, what was you
Bye,
saying though
Cray.
about the Saturday, though, bro?
Why you tripping right now?
They too, it's okay. They tweak like that. You are
Nah,
Shut
okay.
that was
left
that's
monkey.
chicken. He lame as hell. He want to
Do
talk
you
Yeah,
shit.
he
like
gonna do that.
pepperoni, left
He's
monkey?
gonna do
He kind of
that.
slow. I don't pay no.
Yeah.
He's slow.
Yeah.
Shut left monkey.
I just
Motherfucker.
wait
Cause
for.
then
I
you
just
got
wait
Dom
till.
saying this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be
Yes.
serious.
Shut left monkey. You slow, left monkey. Hope you don't do left brain shit. Left monkey.
Cray, are you married? Ah, you're
I'm
muted.
not. No, I'm